All right, we are back after a little malfunction.
It's like the powers that be in Foxborough heard the slander. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
that's a
yeah,
wrap.
yeah. Just to finish off that thought, like ultimately, I think it's time to move on from Mac Jones. We've seen enough. Like the last straw was this past Sunday, Puma, where the kid was just bad. He had bad fundamentals. He had bad decision making. He quit on his team. And I think that's the one thing that people are not really understanding. Like he honestly went out there in the fourth quarter, and I'm sorry, in the third quarter, and decided he want to play no more. Like he would just go back, step back, see his first read was in there, just check it down and dump it off, and that was it. The guy just basically quit on his team, man.
Mm. So real quick, like if you guys are picking like high, you're gonna sounds like you want to be in the quarterback market. Like, is Bill Belichick still the guy that should be the captain of the ship with a potentially new franchise quarterback?
Well, are you asking me, or are you asking Robert Kraft? Because if you're asking me, I think we should move on from Bill Belichick. I think you're seeing now for 3 years in a row. This is what, fourth year now after post Brady, that the team is not getting any better. If anything, is getting any worse. There's the little things that made the Patriot way and made the Patriots so great just were things that we don't see anymore. Like the little like smart coaching and details and the little stuff that made us so great. It's just not there anymore. And I think it might be time to move on from Bill Belichick. Now the problem is Robert Kraft himself. I just don't see it happening just because Robert Kraft. I don't think he has the balls to do that, to pull that move off.
That's wild. Well, then if that's the case, then y'all truly are the Dallas Cowboys. We just
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
got to
We're
move
just
on.
I mean, ultimately, like Robert Kraft is now in this mode where he can't sell the winning franchise, the Patriots, anymore to his fans. So what else can he sell? Bill
Mm.
Belichick. I mean, Bill Belichick sells tickets, right? He is the biggest. He is the biggest star in the Patriot system. So I ultimately think it's a rough sled of it's a rough go for us so far, and it's not gonna get any better anytime soon, bro.
Could be a Giants fan though.
Yes, it could always be worse.
This,
Let's move
yeah.
on to a better team. Two good teams, actually, in my opinion. The 4-0 Philadelphia Eagles, coming off of an overtime victory against the Washington Commanders, going out to take on the much better than expected Los Angeles Rams. Who you got to win this game, bro?
I'm going to go with the Eagles here. I mean, it's essentially going to be
Ooh,
a home game on the West Coast. I mean, the Eagles fans travel really well. The Rams, their offensive line, call it sour grapes from Monday Night Football, where they absolutely could not protect Matthew Stafford. And with that being said, Matthew Stafford was also acting like he had the Hogs from the Washington football team of the 80s in front of him, and he was just holding on to the football when they were absolutely getting manhandled up front. I mean, the spread right now, DraftKings, it has Eagles -4 on the road. The over-under is at 50.5. The Eagles to me are just a much better football team. I mean, they're starting to fire on all cylinders. They had a little bit of a sluggish start. AJ Brown, after his shouting match, a couple of weeks ago, he's starting to get the football. Now, whether or not he shouldn't have done that personal foul to get the Washington Commanders an extra 15 yards on the kick return, and set up the overtime score, or the score to set them to overtime. That's a different story, because for character intangibles, I mean, you were talking about Mac Jones just smiling on the sideline. Like, AJ Brown didn't give a damn. Like, he was high
mhm.
fiving people still, and he was laughing about it on the sideline. It's like, okay, well, he got his, so I guess he doesn't care. But in the grand scheme of things, this is a better roster. I'm going to go with the Eagles in essentially a home game on the West Coast.
I'm taking the Rams, Puma. I
Oh,
am
you're
buying in
buying
on
the
the.
Puka Nakua.
I am buying in on Pokemon. Okay, that's my name for him. I am not gonna call him Puka Nakua. He is Pokemon to me. Okay, so listen, the Eagles are a little worse than we expected, and the Rams are a little better than we expected, right? We all thought the Rams this year were gonna be one of those teams that's gonna be taking a draft pick high, and they might still do that. But so far, what we've seen out of the Rams, man, they can move the hell out of that football. Like I didn't expect, without Cooper Cup, Matthew Stafford, and Pokemon, to go off like that. You feel me? Like they can legitimately put points on the board. And I do believe this Eagles secondary can be had. Like there's definitely some deficiencies there where Matthew Stafford can move the ball on those guys. And shockingly, Aaron Donald has just kind of like turned back the time of like to his younger years where he was dominant. He looks like he's not slowing down anytime soon. Like I am more shook about that than anything else. that defensive line anchored by Aaron Donald, they look absolutely phenomenal. So give me the Rams, man. Like I know it's gonna sound crazy, but I think the Rams might have something brewing. Like I just got this sneaky suspicion that Sean McVay might still have a little something up his sleeve. Now, I have a quick question for you about the Eagles. Like, do you see something that is lacking with the Eagles? Because I feel like they don't have the same juice as last year. A lot of this could be deduced down to the fact that they don't have any defensive or offensive coordinators anymore, and they're bad. I'm sorry, brand new offensive and defensive coordinators where they're kind of working through those kinks. But I just feel as the Eagles this year are missing something. Or am I making
Yeah.
that up?
No, I think there's something to it. I mean, there's essentially a brain drain on that staff. Like,
Mhm.
Gannon went to Arizona, and then Shane Steichen went to Indianapolis. And I mean, look at what those teams are doing right now. You have the Cardinals, which I still think is a tanking team, and they're probably one of the feistiest teams in the NFC right now. And they were hanging with San Francisco. In my power rankings, is the number one team in the NFL right now. And then you have Steichen that's actually getting the best out of a very raw Anthony Richardson. So yeah, there's going to be like a reacclimation period per se for that staff. I think the biggest thing with the Eagles, and you hit on it, is their secondary. I mean, their secondary is absolutely beaten up. They just signed Roby to their practice squad today. There's a lot of talk of whether or not they're going to move Bradbury out of the slot back to the outside because he was playing the slot last week against Washington, and he didn't have a bad day, but it wasn't the greatest day either. Like they got after him a little bit, so there's a lot of questions in that secondary. But for me, I think it's just this pass rush is going to be able to get home from time to time on this Rams offensive line. And you already have Matthew Stafford. He left that overtime game pretty dinged up with the bone
Mhm.
with the bruise on. I think it's his right side, probably like the glute or something like that. So he's pretty dinged up, and how much gas are they going to have in the tank? From that overtime game, I get it. Like they still had like the normal rest period per se, but it's not really going to be a home game. I mean, the Eagles fans are going to travel well, so like are we going to see the Rams doing a silent count in their own home stadium like the Chargers have to do from time to time? I think it's going to happen. I think the Eagles defensive line is going to be able to win the day.
I think teams like the Vegas Raiders and the Rams and the Chargers in these hot destinations are always going to be outnumbered with their home fans because it's a destination for most
Mm-hmm.
fan bases, right? Philadelphia, they're circling this on their calendars. I mean, luckily this is happening in September, but imagine if this game was happening in December. It's cold in the Northeast, like you haven't seen the sun in about 2-3 weeks. All you've got is a really stupid Rocky statue. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna have to go out to LA,
Stupid Rocky statue. My
brighten your
God.
brighten your hopes somehow. And that's just how it is. I know a lot of Patriots fans are looking to go out to Vegas just because that's just a destination for those guys. So yeah, I mean, I can definitely see the fact that it's going to be a pro Eagles crowd.
There's more to Philadelphia than just the Rocky statue.
What else is there, Puma? Seriously, like Philadelphia's a
Ch-
crap city. Like
Chicky and
dude,
Pete's
so
cheesesteak, bro.
overrated, so overrated,
And
Puma.
the
Like
crab fries,
I truly have this might be a hot
water.
take, but Philadelphia is just a overrated town, bro. Like
Wow.
everything from the stupid museums,
Wow.
the sports teams, like the dumpy city. Like it's just like I drove through it once, Puma. It was kind of scary. I had to lock the doors. All right. I was like, this is not for me.
Bro, we went to a Buffalo Wild Wings in Waterbury. You're worried about Philadelphia? Come on.
Trust me. Yes, not for me, man. I'll
Okay.
spend I'll spend I'll spend any moments in Philadelphia if I don't have to.
Wow. Well, Philadelphia, I appreciate y'all for your museums and the Rocky statue
I mean, the only
and the
thing good to come
cheesesteaks.
out of Philadelphia is Ben Franklin, right? He's from Philadelphia, right? No,
I mean, sure. The
let's
Constitution was the Declaration of Independence was signed
let's
there.
move
Okay,
on,
there you
Puma.
go. Oh God.
We had a history lesson for the insane for a second there. All right, the 3-1 Kansas City Chiefs are traveling up to the Minnesota Vikings, and they're going to be taking them on Sunday. Listen, I got the Chiefs winning, Puma, in an easy win, man. I think this is going to be a blowout. I think this is going to be one of those games where this defense is going to get absolutely annihilated. Like, I don't know how many more years we can come in here, like year in and year out, and say, They gotta fix the defense. Like Brian Flores or the defense coordinator gotta do something. Like at this point, like I've lost all faith in the Vikings defense. I even called up my buddy Aaron, the Vikings fan. I was like, "Hey man, I'm doing the podcast tonight. Like, talk me through a scenario where you can see the Vikings pulling out this upset, right?" And he was talking about how, Chiefs haven't looked the best so far this year.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely look vulnerable. Their offense seems to be struggling to find a rhythm. I think you're really starting to see the effects of not having a Tyreek Hill now, 2 years after he's been gone. And he's giving me all these great points, but I'm sorry, I just don't see a way where Patrick Mahomes is gonna go throw up like 28 points or 31 points on
I
that Brian
mean,
Flores defense, and it's not gonna be close, bro, in my
I
opinion.
mean, they let the Jets hang around. I mean, the
That's
spread is
yeah, but that's
Bro,
yeah,
I
yeah.
watched
That's
that
that's
whole game because I was a full blown degenerate that night. With all the talk of I'm not going to watch this game, I'll watch 90 Day Fiance with the wife. Psych, we watched the football game. I mean that defense for the Chiefs, they made like Zach Wilson look good. Like Zach Wilson had like good foot movement. He was moving the pocket. He was getting everybody involved. He was making the right reads. And I mean, you have like a functional like quarterback in Kirk Cousins even surviving behind that offensive line for the Vikings has been absolutely devastated by injuries this year to start the season. But they have they have Justin Jefferson still. So he's going to be able to put stress on that defense, and you might see opportunities for Osborne and company to break out and get the chunk plays down the field. Do I think the Chiefs are going to win? Absolutely. Do I think they're going to cover the 5.5?
well,
Absolutely
of course
not.
not. They never
we
cover, right?
we saw that last week against the Jets. Like they had a chance to punch in that touchdown, and even with a minute left in the game, real football wise, like Mahomes made the right move. But from a betting perspective, like a lot of sports books were happy that he did not punch in that touchdown, because if that happened, like they were going to be massively exposed to a loss for all those money line, the point spreads on the Chiefs. But back to reality football here. Maybe it's because Eric Bieniemy isn't there anymore. Maybe it's because
Bingo,
Matt
bingo.
Nagy is calling the plays. And to your point, like maybe we are starting to see the Tyreek Hill effect, because I get it. This all like Taylor Swift work with Travis Kelce, but like he was really like neutralized in that game against the Jets. Like he only ended the day with I think it was like 5 catches for 37 yards. He was really he wasn't a threat really at all in that game. And, we wanted to, make fun of the Vikings defense. And yeah, from times they have been brutal, but compared to last year, like Brian Flores can't coach defense, and he had them hanging tough from time to time against the Eagles. They just got exposed in the ground game. So like, if the Chiefs are going to win this game, like real life football, like they're probably just going to run the football down their throat. And maybe take the ball a little bit out of Mahomes' hands, because he did not look good against the Jets last week. So I think the Vikings have a puncher's chance. I'm going to go with the Chiefs to win. But like from a betting perspective, like I've been kicking the tires on this game a lot today. Like if I'm betting this game, I might take the Vikings at 5.5. It's still floating around in some books. I might do that when we log off the pod, but that's where I'm at in life.
Wow. I think an underrated story here that nobody wants to talk about is I do believe Patrick Mahomes is missing Eric Bieniemy. Like nobody wants to talk about this story nationally, but I think the Eric Bieniemy going to Washington to be their OC and leaving, Patrick Mahomes and Matt Nagy is a storyline that's not being talked about enough, because that's the only logical way I can think of why this offense is not clicking the way it did last year, right? Because last year they have Tyreek either, and they still put up points and they still looked basically unstoppable for most of the year. I truly believe this offense is missing Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah, I mean those 2 interceptions that he had, and honestly, like Jay, honestly, Mahomes should have had a
3.
minimum of 3. You
Mhm,
could make an argument for 4 picks that night. I mean,
mhm.
he was underthrowing the football. I don't know what he was looking at. Like after the first one, with how bad that pass was, like I put it out there on Twitter. I'm like, is this like Park Ave calling down the Chiefs sideline saying, "Hey, keep it close"? Like because there was I don't know what he was looking at, but like the pick was brutal, and then the second one was just massively underthrown. So I think
I
they
don't,
can
I
be
don't,
had.
I don't know if it was you or if it was somebody else that tweeted, but they were like, "Is Patrick Mahomes drunk out there?"
That was not me, but I would have put that out there for sure. And let's not forget, like the Chiefs are always due for the obscure October loss. Like they avoided that bullet last week. That golden BB almost happened. Like, what if Kirby Cousins can somehow eke
Somehow,
out a win?
somehow, huh? Yeah, I just don't see it happening. But if the Vikings do beat them, I mean this would set them up really nicely for what's happening down the road for those guys, right? Because the schedule for those guys, it they've got the Chiefs, they got the Bears, they've got the 49ers, they got the Packers, the Falcons, the Saints. Like, yeah, you got the 49ers on the schedule, but a lot of that is like the Saints and Falcons and all this stuff that they can beat. So if they want to get their season turned around, they're gonna have to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, Puma, let's move on to the last game that we're going to be previewing, the Cowboys versus the 49ers, bro. We've got a probably the best game of the day, in my opinion, starting out football. The 49ers are looking dominant, 4-0. I think they're one of the best teams in the NFL, if not the best. And then on top of that, you've got the Cowboys coming off a 38-3 drubbing of my Patriots. We got to win this game, bro.
49ers.
Same
That's
here.
one of my best
Same
bets
here.
is
Yeah.
it's 3.5, lay
Yeah.
them. Like just
Yeah.
lay the 3.5. Like I think, yes, the Dallas Cowboys, to me, it's, they're easily the number 3, number 4, power rated team in the NFL right now. Just sheerly solely on their defense. I mean, their defense has been lights out. The thing is the offense still has a lot of question marks, and we saw that against New England. Like there, I think Dak tripped over Pollard on a handoff. Like, they rank almost dead last. Actually, no, they are dead last in red zone offense in the NFL right now through 4 weeks. And, you're going to have to put points on the board. Brock Purdy has been, great to start the season. I think I don't even think he has a pick, or if he does, it's less than a handful. So he's been super efficient with the football. We saw the blueprint to how to, null and void this pass rush for the Dallas Cowboys, and that's to make them be run defenders. We saw that against the Cardinals 2 weeks ago, and I think McCaffrey's going to be able to shove the football down their throat. Elijah Mitchell, if he's going to be active in this game, he should be able to do the same too. Use check, get George Kittle out there. Like they're going to be able to establish the run with this team and take the deep shot down the field occasionally. But I'm going to go with the 49ers and just blindly lay the 3.5.
Yeah, Puma, like you mentioned, Brock Purdy is playing out of his mind. You see the stats up here: 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 84.6 QBR, which is by far the best in the NFL. Like the kid's playing out of his mind. Like I don't think people understand how hard it is to just have one missed pass in an NFL game. He was 20 of 21, 95% completion with an average of 13.5 yards. The kid's playing out of his mind, Puma. Like I know we all just say he's playing for the 49ers, so that's why he's playing well. But I think there's something special about this kid, man. Like, I'm not saying he's going to be the next Tom Brady or Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying that. When I mean special, I mean like this kid can take him to the Super Bowl and actually win it. Like where Jimmy Garoppolo fell short, I think this kid has the balls to win it. So, I still think the Cowboys, I know I said this last week and I'm probably going to get shit for saying it again. I think the Cowboys are sneaky bad, bro. Like, I don't think they beat the Patriots. The Patriots just crapped all over themselves. Like, that's basically what happened. They rolled the balls out there. Mac Jones threw 3 interceptions, game over at that point. 2 were returned for touchdowns. So, like, there's 14 points right there. That Prescott led offense for this Cowboys this year looks average. It looks like they're having a lot of trouble actually scoring points. They get to the red zone quite a bit, but they can't punch it in. And I'm not gonna lie to you, Dak Prescott looks like a game manager right now. Like he doesn't look like anything special at all, bro. Not at all. So because of that, give him the 49ers, easy win.
Yep. Lay the 3.5, alt line it. I don't know what the alt lines would look like, but I honestly might do that because I mean, what part of this Dallas Cowboys team has shown you that if it gets into like a shootout, like they're going to be able to throw themselves back into a game because they really haven't faced that competition. And when they did, they folded against the Arizona Cardinals, which is, like I said at the top, in my opinion, still a tanking football team. So what are they going to do when they run into the buzzsaw that's the 49ers? That's the best team in the National Football League right now. Like
the only concern I have is just like the Cowboys haven't shown you they can throw and get back into a game. We haven't seen that out of Brock Purdy and the 49ers either as well. Like, let's just say hypothetically somehow Micah Parsons goes off, has 3 sacks in the first half. There's an interception, pick six for touchdown, and it's 21-3, 21-7, right? I don't think I've seen enough out of Brock Purdy, as much as I like him, to confidently say they're gonna be able to come back and win that game.
Fair enough. But I would have honestly, I would have a little bit more faith in Brock, just because if the shoe's on the other foot, which I think it is going to be this weekend, you're guaranteed that pick by Dak.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether or not it's going to be backbreaking in the red zone like last night with Daniel Jones, or if it's going to be something that they can just mitigate with that defense and, best case, leave it to just a field goal. But I think, the accident waiting to happen, in the words of Stephen A. Smith, is alive and well with Dallas.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. And then the final segment of the day, Puma, your segment, Puma Bets.
Yes. Puma Bets. It was a rough weekend last week, both college and the NFL. But, it wasn't just me. A lot of people I respect out in the market were in the same boat as me too, especially with Cardinals plus 14, and Zach Ertz dropped the touchdown pass that would have covered that game and salvaged my weekend. Yikes. By the way, the Chiefs deciding to pull the Chiefs and not cover. I never learn. But we're here to turn the page. We're moving on to a new segment, or a new week, I should say. And for football here, right now we have the Giants and Dolphins. The Giants are going on the road to Miami Gardens, the home of the Miami Dolphins here. Dolphins are laying 10.5 right now on FanDuel. That's where I got it. Lay them. Lay the 10.5. It's simple. Like, I know they just got their doors blown off in Buffalo. The first quarter looked pretty good. They were going blow for blow, and then after that, the wheels fell off the bus. They couldn't throw themselves back into the football game. It happens, but this is the ultimate get right spot. This defense should be able to get after Daniel Jones. We saw the Seahawks do that last night. They should be able to generate turnovers. There's nothing about this offense for the Giants that scream backdoor cover, in my opinion. We might see another boat race like we did with the Denver Broncos 2 weeks ago. So yeah, lay the 10.5. Don't worry about the backdoor cover. That's where I'm at in life with that game. The New York Jets going on the road to Denver, to Mile High. And I'm absolutely going to take the 2.5 points that the Jets are getting from the Denver Broncos. Now, yes, it is the same old.
We should rebrand this segment to Pumas Lost It.
It is the same, same old Jets. They fumbled away that victory literally against the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. But here's the thing: like, this is a better defense than the Chicago Bears defense that just absolutely gave up, a massive lead against the Denver Broncos at home in Chicago. Like, this defense is going to be able to get after Russell Wilson. It's going to be a harder defense than he's faced at this point in the year. And Zach Wilson, like I said earlier in the episode, like, he looked great. I was watching the whole game, Jay. I didn't just tune in the fourth quarter when the game was tied. I watched the whole game. He was moving around. He was moving the pocket. They were getting the tight ends involved. They opened up the playbook. And here's the other narrative, too. After all that garbage that Sean Payton was talking in the offseason, this is going to be the Nathaniel Hackett revenge game. Absolutely sign me up for the 2.5 points. I will gladly take the 2.5 points. I think the Jets can absolutely win this game outright. And imagine the hellstorm that would be the Denver Broncos, radio, the fans calling the radio station out there. If Sean Payton, after talking all that garbage, loses to Nathaniel Hackett and Zach Wilson looks like he did on Sunday Night Football, big yikes. Then
I just checked DraftKings. There, it's down to 2 points now.
Well, you got to shop around, baby. You got to look at FanDuel. They might still have that 2.5.
Okay.
Got to shop.
What's your thoughts on that? What's your thoughts on the over-under on that game? 43 is the over-under. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. Rock fight, dude.
I think it might be a rock fight, too. I'm not going to touch the
rock fight.
On that one.
Yeah.
The other one, I got Houston plus 2.5 against who the hell are they playing again?
Falcons.
The Falcons. Good Lord.
Yep,
I need to go to sleep.
They're 2 on DraftKings right now.
Yeah, I got them at 2.5 earlier in the day. I mean, the Houston Texans are just a much better football team, in my opinion, compared to the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons, they look inept on offense. Arthur Smith is not calling a good game. Desmond Ritter is not the guy. At
You
some
see
point,
Matt Collins trying to give him a high five the other day, and there he's like, "Get away from me."
yeah, get away from me. Like, he missed him in the end zone. I'd be saying, get away from me too. Like, no, I'm not going to dap you up. Like, we are in a rock fight in England. We have a chance to actually win this game, and you are just puking all over the place. You can't move the football. The Atlanta Falcons are not using their playmakers right. They have Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson. They still can't seem to find a way to get these guys involved in the offense. So at some point, like, I know Taylor Heineke is what he is. Like, he's just going to be a very serviceable backup throughout the rest of his career in the NFL. That's all he's ever going to be. But we've seen flashes where he can get this team going in spurts. And we saw that in Washington in the playoff run in 2020. We saw that at times last year too. People buy into his moxie. And hey, guess what? He can actually throw the football down the field a little bit more compared to what Desmond Ritter's doing. Until they do that, I'm going to take all the points with the Houston Texans here. CJ Stroud has been fantastic behind a makeshift offensive line that is now down to like their down to the third string guys, because their first and second string guys are either out injured or they're suspended for something. So he's been looking fantastic. Nico Collins looks like a bona fide number one wide receiver, and Tank Dell might be this year's Amon-Ra St. Brown from a few years ago. Like, that offense is clicking. They're buying into D'Amico Ryans. They play their asses off for that guy. So I have them having a chance to win outright on the road in Atlanta. And like I said at the top a few minutes ago, San Francisco minus 3.5. Lay them. Personally, I'm probably going to look at some alt lines. Like, I think they could possibly win by 10. So might put a little sprinkle on that too. And for college football, right now, the only play I have for college is Vanderbilt.
Before we move on to college football, what's your take on that over under 45 for the 49ers and Cowboys?
It's just, do you have enough faith that this offense is going to do enough to get you a minimum of 22 points?
Yeah.
I don't know,
I mean,
man.
with the defense, maybe a pick six or a fumble or something that leads to a touchdown. Yeah.
I don't know. And plus, like, primetime unders, I think are 10-3, 10-4 thus far this season. Like, I might look at the under in that game, even though it's at 45, but that's just me. And then for college, right now, I just have Vanderbilt, Florida under 52.5. This game opened up at 54, and then it got steamed to the under. I mean, these offenses, coming off of games that they really haven't been that great. I mean, Kentucky served Florida their lunch the other week, and Vanderbilt, I don't know, man. It's Vanderbilt. I don't think that we're going to get to 53 points with both these teams. Graham Mertz is serviceable, but he's not like a world beater. The Florida offense leaves a lot to be desired. And Billy Napier is, he's great at recruiting, but like when it comes to coaching, I don't really know. So I'll take the under in that game. But I'm going to have more plays out on Twitter, so be sure to follow me on Twitter at Brando Puma. You can go in the search bar and type in hashtag Puma Bets, and you'll see all my plays that I have posted up there as well too.
Anything jump out to you for either this past week in college or this upcoming week in college? Anything that is like, oh wow, that was kind of crazy?
I mean, Notre Dame almost losing to Duke.
Yeah.
Like, that was, Riley Leonard didn't almost break his ankle. It sounds like he got lucky with the high ankle sprain. But Duke had they had a puncher's chance at winning that football game. LSU Ole Miss, I mean, call me a homer, but that was a great game, and not so great for my heart rate, but that was a fun college game as well too. So
let me check the schedule for next week. Can you see this on your end?
Yeah. You have the Red River Shootout this week. You got
Oklahoma, dude, no Texas. Way. You have Oklahoma, Texas. Oh my God, that's the game of the week, bro.
Yep. You got that. You got Maryland, Ohio State.
That's gonna be a boat race. LSU, Missouri.
And hell, you got games starting tomorrow. You got games on Wednesday.
Yeah, you got what, Jackson? Yeah, but that's not really a game. That's like high school, bro.
Yeah, but it's football. It's football throughout the week, pretty much. And just wait till action starts.
And then, okay, let's see. We've got.
I mean, Washington State, UCLA. I was kind of looking at that game too. Washington State doesn't travel that well. Like, they don't do that great on the road. But I don't know, something about the Cougs, man. Just a gut play. I don't have anything official on that, but
yeah. This this UCF Kansas game could be interesting.
See, that's going to be interesting for two reasons. One, if what is it? If John Rice Plumlee is going to play, and then if Jalen Daniels is going to play too. Like I was pissed. This is where like college pisses me off because they don't have accurate injury reports. I took Kansas plus 17, thinking Jalen Daniels is going to play. Like there was no issue. There was nothing about his back at all. And then he goes through pregame warmups. It was like a partial warm up, and then next thing you know, kickoff comes and they're starting the backup Bean, who's serviceable, but it's not Jalen Daniels. Is like, well, if I would have known he had like potential back issues still carrying over from the offseason, I probably wouldn't have made this bet. But that's going to be a great game. I think the spread is around 2.
Okay, that's not bad.
But that's going to, if Daniels isn't playing, that's probably going to change a little bit.
How about Coach Prime bouncing back this week against Arizona State? Do you think that's going to happen?
I mean,
Arizona State can be feisty.
Probably
can be feisty, you know.
I mean, what is? I think that spread's like a touchdown. Like,
yeah.
I mean, the thing for me, Jay, with Dion in Colorado is just like their defense is bad. Like their they can put up points, but like how many stops are they going to get on defense? And when you said it yourself, like Arizona State can be froggy enough to make this a game. And I don't want to hear about all the Shedeur Sanders looks great in the fourth quarter. Yes, he has looked great in the fourth quarter. He has a great, passer rating in the fourth quarter and QBR and all those other stats. How many games has Caleb Williams played in the fourth quarter? How many games has Bo Nix played in the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
How many games has Michael Penix played in the fourth quarter? Do you see a trend here? Mm-hmm. The good to great quarterbacks in college are not playing in the fourth quarter right now. So you got to take that stat with a grain of salt. I'm not taking anything away from Colorado. Like what they've done this season
you a hater.
Is a great story. But like,
do you believe?
But like, let's stop this. Oh, they hung around USC and USC didn't cover the spread. Well, yeah, that's because USC can't cover anybody. They have no defense, and they're a fraudulent national championship team contender.
That's you said it best, brother. Let's wrap it up and call it a day, man.
This episode of the pod and previous episodes of the Pro Football Radio podcast can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get these podcasts at. YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe button. You'll get the little notification when we're about to go live for your viewing pleasure. Apple Podcasts, be sure to subscribe, leave a 5-star review. Google Podcasts, subscribe, leave a 5-star review. Social media-wise, Facebook, Instagram, Pro Football Radio Podcast, and Twitter at PFR Podcast. I'm on Twitter at Brando_Puma. Jay Chima, the captain of the ship, and the captain of the ones and the twos is at Jay Chima. And talk to you next week.
Peace.
Vaya con Dios.